from us. I want you, we can bring it on the floor. Never danced like this before. We don't talk about it. Dance.
Hey guys, what's cracking? It is Cracking Nation, coach of the Boston Bisharps, and today we are back talking about our CSL Season 5 in review. CSL Season 5 was a hell of a roller coaster. Between having the tilt in the middle of the season because I just couldn't pay attention to the league anymore, and then coming back to claw my way into playoffs and culminating what was our best playoffs run since Season 2. I think overall the season was a success, but I do think there were definitely some things that I could have improved on. And I think I kind of took my approach from last. I think my best draft ever was probably my Season 4 draft. Maybe not, I don't know. But my Season 4 draft I really liked as far as archetypal roles go along the draft. And I think I kind of took that too much to heart. And so I'm going to try to see what I can do going forward to improve on that. But we're going to start off just looking through our mons, talking about each one perspective. And so, of course, it all has to start with our Mega Agron. Mega Agron was a Week 2 free agent in actually getting rid of Mega Medicham. Mega Medicham was kind of a mon that I was just like, I know how to use it. Mega Chomp got sniped. Better just go for Mega Medicham. But we ended up going for Mega Agron, which is a decision that I 100% stand by. Mega Agron, I think, goes slept on a lot. It has phenomenal coverage, phenomenal bulk. It basically cannot be KO'd by any super effective move that isn't boosted up. You can EV it to take +1 Megazard X's Flare Blitz, which GG, you know what I'm saying? If I can take one of those, what are you talking about? So Mega Aggro with filter and that amount of bulk, plus honestly, special bulk not great, but with filter and then investment, it can take a lot of special hits too. It can take a Q-Room, a Life Orb, mild, I guess, modest, max special attack, Earth Power as well, which is a calc I had to do for my battle against Realize. But Mega Agron is definitely a threat, and I think people sleep on it a lot. It's got a lot of great utility moves, and I was really just not disappointed. Whether it was being used in a more offensively oriented role, a defensively oriented role, support type role, honestly, I was consistent. Agron was a consistent Pokemon that was able to do its job. I think also one thing that is worth noting is that Agron has some useful pre-Mega abilities that it is able to use. Rockhead gives it that Head Smash ability move without recoil, meaning it has a very strong attack prior to Mega Evolving there. Of course, I never used it. It was something I was considering quite a few times, but I ended up never going down that road. Specifically, I used Sturdy a lot, but Sturdy really came in clutch against Cherrymander, coach of the Zion Zards, I believe in week 10 or 11, where I was able to Metal Burst a +1 Scrafty's High Jump Kick, which would have probably OHKO'd Mega Agron otherwise, but maybe it wouldn't have, but Agron having a sturdy entachment that was able to take one and Metal Burst the crap out of that Scrafty back and ultimately keep that Scrafty from sweeping me, allowing me to, from there on, win the game. So, honestly, yeah, Mega Agron. And then another thing worth noting is that the fact that it's a UU, or I guess now it's called a B tier mon, which allows you to get that bonus. Honestly, Mega Agron I was really big fan of. I think my only qualms with Mega Agron were it was delegated to having to tank hits a lot, and while obviously it's able to do that without a very good form of recovery and no form of wish passing that wasn't dead weight. So Togetic was my only wish passer. Togetic was not very good at wish passing because it would either have to choose to die itself and then wish pass, and every time it came in it would just lose pressure. So wish passing into Agron is difficult, and so I did run Rest a couple times, but it just really struggles with the lack of recovery, you know what I mean? So that said, there are some problems I have with Agron, but it was honestly very good at what it did, and it did its job admirably in Season 5. Next up, we have Victini, who is my franchise. Surprisingly, I didn't go for Tyrantrum, but Victini is my franchise in this season for going into Season 6. Victini's, I think what I have to say about Victini is that it's a mon that I only really learned how to use towards the end of the season, because Victini was definitely a great mon to have and it puts a lot of pressure on, but you have to realize that Victini can't set up. It's limited. Basically, what it does is completely I guess chained by its item, I should say. So whether it's hitting good speed tiers, whether it's hitting hard, everything's kind of just dependent on what what item you're running. Would be the Scarf, Specs, Life Orb, Expert Belt, all of which I did. Even because honestly at the time I was considering Sugar Berry, Passion Berry, Assault Vest, stuff like that. Victini is basically completely limited by what item it's running, and so you basically get to choose your counters and choose your and stuff like that. But it does suck to be choice locked all the time, which was what Victini ended up being. However, that said, there were a lot of moments where Victini being choice locked was fine. And an example of that will be the semifinals match against Classy Zorak, where Victini didn't even need to get the kills itself to just put immense amounts of pressure in that battle. I just gotta say that a banded V-Crate from Victini, I want to say, is the second strongest attack in the OU tier behind a banded Kyurem Black's Outrage. And I think ahead of a Reckless Staraptor's Brave Bird coming off Reckless. I know for a fact those are the three strongest attacks in the OU tier, so Victini has the claim to one of them. Obviously, V-Crate has a lot of drawbacks, but phenomenal coverage. I think one big problem I ran into is that it doesn't get Ice Punch, which, doesn't matter, but it kind of ended up mattering, because every time I saw a Pokemon to a team that I really wanted to run Ice against, I was forced into running Special almost all the time. That said, honestly, V-Create is kind of crazy, because it doesn't allow switch-ins. Like, you'd think a Pokemon like Tank Chomp would be a great switch into a banded Victini clicking V-Create, but we saw, at least in practice battles, I saw against against Classy Zorak, that after Rocks, bulky Garchomp, let's say just max HP, can't switch in. It gets 2 KO'd after Rocks. So of course I get outsped the second turn, but that thing can only switch in once, is what I'm trying to say. So even Mons that you think would be dedicated answers to banded Victini can rarely repeatedly switch into it. And especially if you're able to make that prediction, which is something I'm hoping I'll be able to do in the future, you can really put some punishment on your opponent. And it is very hard to... It's honestly, at prep time, it's a mind game between, am I going to run Special or Physical or Scarf or what? Because my opponent has to predict correctly. If they don't, Victini is going to claim lives. If they do, Victini probably still isn't useless. That's what's really cool about Victini, is that high power base moves allow it to not only not be useless ever, but, at times it can be here, and at times it's here, but it's almost never here. You know what I mean? There are mons even Manaphy, which was a great mon for me to have, and I wrecked shop with Manaphy. I think I did really well with Manaphy. There were games where Manaphy accomplished is nothing, just because it couldn't get a setup opportunity. The thing that's nice about Victini having just high power base moves with no need for setup is that Victini just clicks attacks instead, making it a really effective wall breaker in a way that Manaphy isn't exactly able to do. Of course, you have to forego switching. Another thing was that my team really struggled to get hazards off the field, as far as all of my hazard clears struggled in one way or another. Togetic, was basically a complete stop to any offensive pressure I had at a given moment, which sucked. Shifty was just not reliable and couldn't, maybe sometimes, I only came in towards the end of the season, but Shifty basically couldn't get rid of hazards more than once, let alone once at all. And Wartortle, probably being my most reliable defogger, kind of suffered from the same thing, where it lost a lot of offensive pressure, but also that it had no form of recovery, no access to heal bell for a defensive mon. It just got worn down so easily, even with a pretty good amount of bulk. So Victini kind of struggled with the hazards that, honestly, I think cost me probably a game or two somewhere along the line, that Victini can't switch in and out of hazards, because Victini has bulk to take a hit, but let's say it's switched into Rocks twice, at 50%, Victini probably can't take a hit anymore, even from a lot of neutral things, powerful neutral hitters. So that said, Victini's great, but there's definitely some flaws with it, and it is my franchise because I am not in a good spot for OU1, and Victini is a very valuable OU1 mon, I think, that could core very well with any of the mons that I'm looking at right now, so we're going to have to wait and see. Next up, we've got Cresselia, and Cresselia is a fantastic defensive Pokemon that fell short in a lot of ways at a lot of times. I shouldn't say a lot of ways or a lot of times. It really did its job pretty much perfectly except the fact that it made all of my opponents run Toxic all the time. Because if you want to beat Cresselia, the best way to do it is by Toxicing it, because it can't get access to Hazard, get access to status healing. So, and the problem being that I couldn't really easily bring Togetic again for the aforementioned reasons. So Cresselia basically just forced my opponents to just run Toxic and everything, which definitely became very annoying after a while. That said, it was able to put in so much work and wall so many things, just like I wanted to this season. It also allowed some light screens, reflect, lunar dances, paving the way for some sweeps by other Pokemon. It really just excelled at stopping opponents' offensive pressure, which honestly it did very well, and I'm sad as they go, but I do recognize there are problems that it really struggled to deal with, being Moonlight's unreliable like nature with low PP and weather affecting it, and then beyond that, just inability to clear hazards, inability to phase setup supers out in case setup supers came in and started setting up on it, all of that stuff. So I'm satisfied with Cresselia. It did its job, but it definitely left some holes also. So next up we've got Toxicroak. Toxicroak is the mon that could have been and never was, I feel like, because I look at Toxicroak, and if it had Mach Punch, this thing would have devastated the CSL, I feel like. But every single battle, I was forced into running Special to get stab priority for Vacuum Wave, or running Physical, and yes, Sucker Punch, but basically foregoing reliable, and Bullet Punch is like no damage from most things, so basically foregoing reliable priority. And it also doesn't have the bulk to set up a lot. So while it did, I guess, kind of deter people coming in and using a lot of water type attackers on me, it didn't accomplish anything beyond that. I think basically all the Toxicroak served me was matchup in on turn 1. I don't know how to describe that. Basically, it served me was having a mon in the back in the roster that what my opponent saw they would prep for, and then probably not bring a mon like Suicune with only Scald. But I think Toxicroak is, I don't know, it really just didn't do much for me this season, which I hate because it looks so good on paper with access to Nasty Plot, access to priority, great offensive typing, kind of pretty useful abilities honestly in anticipation and dry skin. I don't know, Nasty Plot, Swords Dance, Work Up, if I had wanted to mix that. Just never got the opportunity to shine, I guess. So next up we have Snorlax. Snorlax was our franchise from Season 4 going into Season 5. Snorlax was definitely pretty good this season, but it did not perform as well as it did last season. I think that's because I started to find the limits of what Snorlax is capable of, and I really pushed him into taking a lot of hits that he probably shouldn't have been taking. Basically, I kind of ran Assault Vest every single week, and I quickly realized that wasn't the play. So towards the end of the season, I started running things like Custap Berry, things like Crunch, Rest, Sleep Talk, Body Slam, Sorry, I got thirsty from talking so much. So Snorlax was good, but I kind of summated everything that Snorlax was able to do last season in our recap video, because Snorlax, while it is great, is limited a lot by its speed, for sure, as well as lack of ability to set up anything except Curselax, which Curselax did not find a lot of chances to be useful this season, which is unfortunate because it did win me a couple games in the past. But I shouldn't say that it's not useless, because it definitely is able to take hits and honestly retaliate pretty hard. I just think the biggest thing was that people saw how I liked to use Snorlax last season, and that became kind of predictable this season, as I wasn't able to really branch away from how I had been using it. And so with that, I kind of look at my franchises like, you don't want to be predictable with your franchises as far as what you run with that mon. So I think Victini is kind of a fix to that solution, because I was considering running Tyrantrum, but Tyrantrum would fall into the same trap where I'm basically always running Dragon Dance, Rock Polish, or Choice Scarf with my Tyrantrum, most of which would share the exact same counters. Almost all three of those sets are beat by the exact same things. So I think Victini opens up a lot more versatility in my franchise as far as this different path to take as far as physical, special, because those sets share almost completely different counters most of the time. Scarf, Life Orb, Expert Belt, Shuka Berry, Pasho Berry, Assault Vest, anything like that, like dual setup with Power Punch, flame charge. I think I think with franchises you have to realize that people are going to start to expect certain things out of your franchise if you consistently run them. And so you really want to be aware of that when you are choosing your franchise. Next up we have Togetic, and Togetic I think has to be one of, if not the most disappointing mon I picked up this season. I was expecting a lot more of it, and I didn't realize that every time Togetic came in, I would lose all the momentum I had. So that really sucked, honestly. It's nice to have a Defogger and a Cleric. I will acknowledge that, but it was not only weak to rocks, it also struggled with picking up just any momentum when it came in, because I would switch it in, and my opponent would get a free switch in that would not only threaten Togetic, but just land massive damage to something else on my team the next turn if I switched out Togetic. So it really sucked. And then also being limited to holding a Violite and then getting it knocked off basically crippled the crap out of Togetic in more battles than one, either getting it tricked away or just knocked off. It just really got crippled all the time. So Togetic, I know what I drafted it for, but it was not worth the RU1 spot at all. I just want to say, it was not worth that spot that I picked it up in. Next up we have Excelgor, and Excelgor I actually really enjoyed this season. I've had it once before, but I really think I found my own with Excelgor this season. It has a lot of offensive presence, which I had never realized as far as you modest that thing, because it has such a high speed stat. You can afford to run modest, and you give it a life orb, and Excelgor's doesn't have the biggest move pool, but it can hit stuff. Between Bug Buzz, Focus Blast, and Sludge Bomb, Energy Ball, that's a pretty solid coverage move pool. You can hit a lot of stuff with Bug Buzz, you can hit a lot of stuff with Focus Blast, and those two moves alone achieve almost perfect neutral coverage on the entire metagame, which is pretty crazy, honestly. And you pair with Sludge Bomb to hit something like Togetic, so you really just hit everything super hard with Excelgor, but really also against people like Manaphy City, who didn't have hazard clearing. It was so nice to have a Spike Stacker, because that's something a lot of people forget about. Honestly, not even just forget about, that's something a lot of people have trouble picking up in draft, because Spike Stackers are so valuable. And something like Excelgor that can reliably, almost 100% of the time, get two layers with its amazing speed stat, as well as not forego your offensive presence with things like Final Gambit. Just boom, get a KO right off the bat if you see a threat and you want to neutralize it. You can either immensely weaken it for a revenge kill later on, or weaken it for hazards, or just kill it outright. Excelgor was honestly one of the mons I was most pleasantly surprised with this season, I think. So I have nothing but kind words for Excelgor. Almost every single time I brought it, it did its job in some form or another. Obviously not in finals, I guess, but that was not Excelgor's. It wasn't like Excelgor couldn't take a hit or something. It just the game just worked out that way. So next up we've got Tyrantrum, and Tyrantrum is a mon, like I said earlier, that got limited to sets that basically all shared the same counters, so it was pretty easy for my opponent to stop. Tyrantrum basically has to run Head Smash. I mean, even if you run Dragon Dance, Strong Jar, or something, which I never did, what you kind of realize at a certain point with a move like V-Crate or with Head Smash, these crazy high base power moves, it's like Metacham's High Jump Kick, is that 9 times out of 10, your best move is going to be clicking that move, which is crazy. But, for example, I'll use Metacham as an example. If I click, I was going, again, on the OU ladder, you play a Clefable, and you think, okay, I'm going to click Zen Head with Ice Punch, because those aren't, or I'm going to click Ice Punch, let's say you're running Bullet Punch, and you're going to click Ice Punch because you think that's going to hit Clefable harder since it resists fighting. Wrong. Ice Punch hits with 75 base power, and with stab and type effectiveness calculated in, I think High Jump Kick hits 97.5, which is crazy. So the same thing goes for Tyrantrum with Head Smash. Head Smash hits so hard, even when it's resisted, and even when it's resisted, 9 times out of 10, the stab plus resist means it does more damage than your next best move, or is just as much. So you might as well just click Head Smash anyways. And so it was just clicking Head Smash all the time, which it won me week 1 against the BC Bastardons super well. So I really did like it, but and it's a crazy mon to have an RU3. It is such a great RU mon, and to have RU3, it also ended my season 4 playoffs run single-handedly by Alpha Juarez. But I do think my biggest thing with Tyrantrum, is just that it was forced into such similar roles every game. So it just, people expected that, and so that's what kind of deterred me from franchising it, even in such a great spot to have it. Like, having a mon like Tyrantrum RU3, I was so tempted to franchise this mon, but I ended up not being able to go for it because of what I said. Like, it just falls into these so many traps of running the same sets. So while it is a great mon in that spot, and undoubtedly I'm going to get something much worse than the next season in that spot, you know, it is what it is. Next up we have Taurus, and Taurus was a mon that I really had a lot of hope for in the first week, and only ended up coming once in season and once in playoffs. I think it was my least brought Pokemon on my entire team. And the problem with Taurus was that, you know, you bring it, you see the speed stat and sheer force, and you hope you see a great coverage move pool, but what you realize is that great coverage move pool, besides like Zen Headbutt, Rock Climb, Iron Head, or Iron Head, Iron Tail, and like Rock Climb, its entire coverage and move pool is special, and it has a 40 special attack set, so it literally can't even KO like Garchomp with an Ice Beam, or like barely even does it with a Blizzard, I think. It's bulky, you can't even do it with a Blizzard, and that's ridiculous. It has decent bulk, but the problem that I ran into was that it's not enough to take the hits that it needs to a KO, and while it does have great speed, so many Scarfers running around can revenge kill it. It's got a pretty poor typing offensively, and while Rock Climb can hit very hard, it never hit quite hard enough. And so every game when I wanted to bring Taurus, I thought, oh, you know what, Taurus is a good move pool that might be able to help in this battle. The problem that I ran into was that Taurus couldn't KO the things it needed to KO, and that's what always stopped me from bringing this. I would, like, people say, like, why do you never bring Taurus? But it's like, I would run the calcs and be like, yo, Taurus is going to be good, and I would run these calcs, and it would be like, doesn't KO a Garchomp with an Ice Beam. I'm like, well, what good is Taurus if it can't even do that much, you know? Like, things could switch in and it just wouldn't do enough to them, or it wouldn't be able to revenge kill the things it needs to revenge kill. So, you know, I was hoping it could do a lot in finals, because it did have a potential in finals, and I did bring it because it hit that nice speed stat, and I ran like Iron Tail and Rock Climb and Earthquake for it, but alas, it didn't end up getting to have his moment, I guess. So next up we have Shifty. Shifty came into our team in week 10, the last week for trades, and it left behind Sandslash. So Sandslash was a mon that we had never brought, just because the problem I found with Sandslash was that, again, similar to Taurus, it just couldn't find the power it needed, couldn't take the hits it needed to, and just was, at least Taurus had speed to go with it, you know. But Shifty not only gave us another hazard clear, which we ended up not ever needing to use. We did bring it to finals for a hazard clearing role, but Shifty was nice because offensive Darkened Grass is super good against Manaphy City, is why I was like super sold on trading in Shifty from the Detroit Pyroar. And access to priority was something my team didn't have except for Toxicroak, or like quick attack Victini. So priority was nice to have. Stab priority to boot, like a really great stab priority user. And then just the ability to run mixed coverage, and it was just like really effective, because I ran both physical and special Shifty at different moments. So it was really nice to be able to do that. And so I can't speak a lot because we only had it for a few weeks, but it was a great mon, and I was not disappointed by Shifty whatsoever. In fact, I think it might be the most used NU mon by me I've ever had, at least in the time that I had it. Next up, we've got Wartortle. Wartortle is similar to Togetic, but I will say it was actually a little better than Togetic, because it did have access to a couple cool moves, especially for a PU mon. Like, Togetic being an RU1 mon, I expected more. Wartortle was a PU mon, so I was pretty happy because it did everything it needed to as a PU mon. You know, great bulky water type, Click and Scald, Haze, Rapid Spin was nice. Rapid Spin's always really nice, but the problem that it ran into again was just lack of recovery. So easy to wear down. Toxic or Will-O-Wisp or anything was just super easy to wear down. So while Wartortle was cool, it did have a couple problems in places such as that. Last Pokemon on our team is Dragout, who was able to bring it home so many times for us, and Dragout was an awesome mon to have in the bonus spot. It's because we drafted Agron and Cresselia that we were able to get a BL2 bonus pick, because Agron brings us up to RU, I believe, and then Cresselia being a UU mon brought us up one more. So Dragout gave us a fantastic wall breaker to pair with Victini a lot of the time, and I think those two mons obviously were the top offensive mons on my team. Dragout just hits like a truck with the bulk to take a hit if you need to. What was really cool is I was actually able to use something I was hoping to use all season. I finally managed to against Classy Zoric in semifinals, was the Toxic Spikes Venoshock set. And while Venoshock didn't come in handy, Toxic Spikes were absolutely critical to how I ended up winning that battle. And so I'm really happy with Dragout and was able to put in an immense amount of work in almost every game it came to, honestly. I just think back to Alpha Wartortle, where Dragout literally got like 5 kills in that one game. But yeah, I'm very happy with Dragout, and I'm going to be really sad to see it go, because honestly, for a while I was trying to find a way to get myself to a BL2 bonus again, just to pick up Dragout again, because it was really that good. The speed tier does really suck, because even after a Scarf, it like only can outspeed like base 90s or something, or like base like 85, even after even with Timid Scarf, which sucks because you gave up so much power with it to do that. But if I manage to be able to pick it up again, that's cool. If not, that's cool too. Not the end of the world either way. So just looking at overall how I played this season, I think I was forced to run really defensively teams because of basically, I guess you look at like my first 6 Mons, which basically are define how a team plays usually. And my first 6 Mons, 4 of them were extremely defensive. 2 of them to the point being Cresselia and Togetic, where they had no offensive pressure almost whatsoever. Toxicroak can't even be mentioned as an offensive mon, because they almost never did any work for me. So really, Victini was all the high-tier offense I had this season. I mean, Agron able to do something, Snorlax able to do something, but Victini was about it. So where I really fell short this season compared to seasons in the past was that I had high-tier offense. It's something I usually played around with at the beginning of my draft. I really went for high-tier offense, mid-tier defense, low-tier role fillers. And so I think I have to go kind of... I really wanted Garchomp in that Mega slot, and I think had I had Garchomp, this draft could have gone extremely differently. My plan was originally to get Cresselia in UU1, but because Mew and Jirachi and Slowbro were all picked up before I could get there, I ended up having to go for Cresselia in OU2, which gave us Dragout, I guess, so that's not bad. But yeah, I just really gave up what could have been 3 offensive Mons in those first 3 OU spots, or Mega in the first 2 OU, and I ended up having 2 defensive Pokemon and only 1 offense. And Victini being great, can't do it on its own. So that's definitely the problem I had, and I think that problem managed to work itself out in most games. I think Dragout really helped patch that up, as well as Tyrantrum. Honestly, those 2 Mons kind of came in and really patched up my offensive holes. But I think the problems came out more than ever, and a terrible time for them to emerge was in finals, which really sucks. So now we're going to talk about finals a little bit. It is again, I was really happy to make it that far. I was amped to get through the Saga Sand Slash in semifinals. That was a great game, and so I was really excited to get through them. But I realized the second I looked at Rio's team, we've never played before, first of all, but I realized the second I looked at his team, his first 3 Mons single-handedly decimate my defensive core, which I thought was basically unbreakable, because like I thought, you look at this core and that's a fantastic core. You have great mixed synergy, you have recovery, you have wish passing, you have status healing, you have status clearing, you have a lot of this stuff, and so you think it looks great on paper, and then all of a sudden I came to, and it was great, honestly. Most of the season it was performed basically how it was supposed to, but all of a sudden I saw Rio's first 3 OU Mons, and I shat myself, because you look at Heracross, Agron, done. Cresselia, done. Snorlax, done. Togetic, Rock Blast, done. Huron Black, Agron, done. Cresselia, done. Snorlax, done. Togetic, done. You look at Excadrill, Agron, done. Cresselia, Moldbreaker, done. Snorlax, done. Togetic, done. And all of a sudden I'm just like, oh man, because all of a sudden 4 of my first 6 Pokemon are next to useless in this battle. I ended up bringing only Cresselia out of those, because Cresselia was able to, I was hoping Light Screen or Lunar Dance or something. And so all of a sudden I got not only out offense, his offense broke my defense, so I couldn't even bring it, to the point where I couldn't even bring it. But beyond just that, he was able to out-tier me, because I ended up dipping, I think I had 2 NU Mons, 2 RU Mons, and then my 2 OU, 1 being UU. Whereas he was able to just bring, I think he brought like 5, his first 5, no, he literally brought his first 6 Pokemon to our battle. And so if that's not out-tiering, I don't know what is, because, yeah, I brought 2 RU, 2 NU, and 1 OU, technically 2 BL Pokemon now, but he brought 3 OU, 2 UU, 1 RU. So I got out-tiered so hard right out of the gate. I was hoping Tyrantrum was going to be able to put in work, but, like, I'm okay that I lost, because you know, this battle, I don't think anybody expected me to win. People voted for me to win, but like, if you look at this matchup, you know, you would realize like I was gonna get out tiered. I was gonna get out offense. I was gonna get outpaced. I couldn't handle this team with this draft I had this season. I think had I had something like Garchomp and whatever mon I ended up getting in wanting in UU or OU2, an offensive mon, I would have been so much better off, miles and miles ahead of where I was gonna be. Because Garchomp alone can force Kyurem to run Scarf, can force Excadrill to run Scarf, something like that. Can force them to not be able to switch in, can do a lot of damage to Heracross. So yeah, I'm pretty upset. I guess I'm not pretty upset, but I'm peeved that the battle turned out the way. I'm not disappointed in myself because I think the only place I could have improved in that battle was having a better draft in the first place. But the draft got me to finals, so who am I really to care? I do think that this draft was not a great draft overall because of just how it fit my playstyle and how, therefore, it didn't actually fit my playstyle, which, I want the high-tier offense, the mid-tier defense, and the low-tier role fillers. So it is what it is. Looking forward, I definitely want to say that I think this season I played very well overall. I think there's a little bit of focus I lost in the middle season, but I'm not going to criticize myself for that. I think the biggest thing is just having a better planned out draft. I planned out this draft pretty well, but having a better way to like kind of readapt the draft to what I'm saying or getting sniped on, that's where I really ended up falling short. As well as acknowledging like things like Toxicroak are going to be useless. Toxicroak was not a UU1 mod. So it is what it is. I'm looking forward to Season 6 where I'm going to hopefully be able to construct a better draft. 20 people in the league instead of the 16 that were in this season is going to be scary, and probably it's going to become Snipe City completely. So we're going to see how it goes. But wish me luck, guys. We went to lots of finals this season. We are still the only team to ever compete in playoffs every single season in CSL history. And so hopefully we can keep at least that alive, if not bring back another win, because we are now no longer I guess the term is winningest, which is a weird word, but we no longer have the most championship victories because San Diego Wild Chargers have won back-to-back. So we're going to hopefully be able to dethrone them, or someone is. And if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. It is always very appreciated. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Cracking Nation, out. So we are just going to click Protect, I'm thinking. And see if we can get a high jump kick. And we do